Welcome back to Life Partner TV. I am Dr. Mario Torres Leon, your host here. Welcome to this special show today, which is actually a very dear topic to me, and is the aspect of, ready for this? Lonely Planet, Find Your Why. This is something that actually came up recently about a new movie called Lonely Planet. And this is something that has come up quite a bit here in the Life Partner community. And it's the aspect of when couples are together, let's say that we go beyond the aspect of coming together for the first time in the dating, everything is excitement and so on. Then perhaps they've been together for multiple years, maybe they got married. And then something that happens very often is this trajectory that people are on. They start to just separate, and the paths become diverging paths. And then it actually gets to a point where I like to think about each person is in a lonely planet of their own. And no matter if you're actually staying together, living under the same house or whatever, the fact of the matter is that people feel very, very lonely. They feel alone. And the question is, why is that happening? Why is it that we get to that point? What elements are missing that is what the couple is experiencing? And one of the things that I was actually writing about this the other day, if you think about the bigger cities in the world, let's say you go to New York City, or maybe you're in Rome, maybe you're in Los Angeles, think about a big, big city. Um, Interestingly enough, big cities have been regarded as potentially among the loneliest places in the world. And you could be thinking, well, if you take New York City, for example, 8 million people live there in the city. And then on any given week, up to about 20 million people will transit through the city in that particular week. How could you possibly feel lonely in such a situation? And I'll give you another parallel to that, if you will. You see, human beings, we were meant to be in society. We were meant to be communicating. We were meant to be together. And think about, let's say that I created this incredible planet and I said to you, hey, John or Maria, I'm going to send you to planet X25, right? And you have all the amazing beauties of the world. You have access to everything that it's, you could possibly think of in that planet. But there's only one caveat. And the caveat to you being in that planet and being essentially the king or queen of that place is that you're the only person who can actually be there in that planet. If you feel into that, just the mere thought of thinking about it, it's something that is, I don't know, profoundly touching, because it makes you feel, if you're anything like me, you feel completely lonely just thinking that you're the only person that can be there. And this is one of the things that we start to experience when there's a degree of disconnection between couples. When things are just not working out, there's more and more mounting problems, circumstances, challenges, discussions, arguments, and so on that happen. And basically those feelings of loneliness and separation start to really become the norm. And the question is, what can you do if you've been experiencing that in your relationship and being in the lonely planet of you, where your partner is just simply not visiting anymore and not landing on it? What is missing and what can be done to actually shortcut that? And in talking to so many men and women and couples here in the Alive Partner community, one of the things that has become very evident, and not just in the community, but also during the past almost 30 years in my own journey, basically learning this and discovering these things, experiencing these things, going to the depth of what is it that makes us tick, is not having a clear why. And I'll get a little bit into that. So one of the most common elements that happens when we look into why is it that there's disharmony, there's simply lack of connection, is that we have lost the common thread of whatever is it that we're going to do. Think of it as having a basketball team. And at the beginning of the season, everybody's super jazzed to be there. Everybody's just going to practice. Everybody's excited to be playing. But then along the way, maybe a couple of games were lost. And then if you have, let's say it's a team of, adolescents, well, there's homework to be done and other things happening at school. And then maybe I'll just skip practice today. This sense of union and the sense of purpose in the team of from the very beginning, we're going to win this year's tournament and we're going to be the champions, starts to essentially take a dive as we go through the journey of the season. In the same way, when it comes to the journey of a couple's season life, certain things may happen that we get demoralized, we get deflated, we simply lose track of where are we going, what is the purpose of being here. And what I have found is that when there is that rekindling with the sense of why is it that we're here, what is the purpose of our union, which is looking for that why, the realignment of those notions, of those ideas, of those goals, aspirations, dreams that are there, what that does is that it once again starts to light up the fire and put the fire in the belly once again in the couple. And it starts to create this sense of rekindling again, which is so essential for the harmony, for the functionality of the couple. And something that has been actually interesting in talking to people in my community about this aspect of being in the lonely planet and once again starting to go into the journey of finding your why is almost like a bad notion of, well, I just want to completely avoid being in the aspect of being lost along the way. And what I have found is that there is so much judgment that can actually come into your own life, or maybe judgment upon your partner when you start to really think that way, that it actually blocks off the possibility of seeing what is the gift that comes out of this sense of being lost. And I'll just explain it a different way. Imagine that you are going on a road trip, and you're using your phone as your guidance. You're pretty much following the addresses and the directions that it's giving you so you can get there. And then along the way, suddenly your phone, glitches out, or maybe the battery died and you notice that it was not connected properly to your charging cable and so on. So now you're quote unquote lost along the way. Well, it is very likely that this has happened to you where you suddenly, as you're driving and this is happening and you're, trying to sort out, how am I going to get out of the situation? When is the phone going to get back to work again so I can actually find my directions? As you're driving in that process of being quote unquote lost, you went by some store, or maybe there was a restaurant that appealed to you, something along the way. Maybe there was a park. And as you're actually in that journey, in that lost portion of the journey, now some other elements come into your awareness, right? Something just grabs your attention, let's call it. And suddenly the entire sense of the journey, the trip becomes far more interesting, exciting. Something new comes from it. Perhaps you go into a restaurant, or you go into some establishment and you meet some people there and you start to have a conversation, and then whatever came from that conversation, it's actually something that is happening in your life and makes you think about that. And now you have a whole new different perspective about that particular aspect in your life. And it all happened just because you were lost along the way as you were trying to get to your ultimate destination. So one of the things that I like to talk about when we are in this aspect, or in this place of being in the lonely planet when it comes to our relationship with your partner, is the aspect of, along with triggering that moment of asking the why is it that we're together? Why is it that we do anything that we're doing? To accept, to embrace this portion of your journey where you're actually lost. And rather than, let's say, getting really upset, oh my gosh, I should have just plugged that better in the car, and now I have no voltage in the, no battery in the phone, and here I am. It's like, okay, well, because of this, I actually ended up in these places that I would have never been into if everything would have been perfect, and my journey would have been completely lacking of this new thing that opened up for me just because I was lost. And what I have seen, not only in my personal life, but also in the lives of people that I have worked with in the Alive Partner community, or in different programs that we offer, whether it's a Wanted Men mentorship program, or the women specific heart to heart mentorship program, or even doing the Alive Partner program, is that the moment that we start to embrace those moments, the moment that we start to receive what's there, the moment that we say, you know what, I'm just going to toss this judgment that I'm putting all over myself right now for just having been, a human in this moment, it allows us to breathe, right? It's almost like saying to somebody, you know what, give yourself permission to take a deep breath, right? There's a difference between going and then going like intentionally, filling every single space that you can possibly fill in that moment and fill your lungs with oxygen. It's a very different sensation. It's a very different experience. And everything that triggers down from generating such experience is also very powerfully different. So as you may be listening to this, and if you're tuning in live, just let me know where you're actually tuning in from right now. Or if you have any questions, just ask your questions so that I can actually engage you here live. And even if you actually are looking at this, you're watching this recording after it's been live, you're just watching the replay. Please go ahead, leave your comments, and let me know how this is landing for you. Have you been in a situation where you have been in the lonely planet? Maybe you are currently in a relationship and you're in the lonely planet. Or maybe you're not in a relationship and you're still feeling that you're in the lonely planet. And how would it feel for you? And if you've done it already while you're listening to this, to actually start looking into the why, to be able to bring the meaning into this moment and to create alignment, whether it's within yourself or whomever else you may be with. So let me know your comments and if this is something that is resonating with you, or do you actually use something similar, but you have your own different variation of that? Would love to actually hear what you have to say about that and have a conversation about it. But anyways, that two-step process, once again, if you're finding yourself in that lonely planet, number one, to bring yourself back to the center, to bring yourself back to a sense of a notion of purpose by asking the question, why? Why does this even matter? Why should I even bother to have a common goal, a common vision to what is it that we're doing in this moment? That's really important. The second component to getting out of a lonely planet is the aspect of embracing the portion of your journey of being lost, right? That is a really, really powerful thing. And being in the question, in the curiosity of, I wonder what else would be possible here. I wonder what else could come from me being open to feeling lost in this moment. I wonder what new adventure is going to pop up in my way just because I'm embracing every single minute that is part of this lonely portion of my journey as I'm experiencing it. And those two things combined, I guarantee you, will create a very different relationship with self and with your partner that will create a completely different experience of realignment and being able to find, once again, the activation of your phone, your GPS, to get you to where you want to go. Leave us a comment, share, like, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue to see you and share some of this content. And you can also find us at alivepartner.com, where we talk about the different programs that we have. We also talk about our newsletter, which, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to it and you're new to this material, come in and join us so that you can start receiving daily tips and tools from us. I am Dr. Mario Torres Leon, founder of alivepartner.com. I'm glad to have you here, and I can't wait to see you on our next Alive Partner TV episode. So stay tuned for the next one. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.